Is Herb Jones becoming a star? Let's watch some film and talk about it.
You must know that first. Can't nothing and nobody fade what we trying to do and what we about to do. Second thing is, we got this game on our level. You understand what I'm saying?
Welcome to another episode of In Space. I'm your host, Chris Connor. Shout out to all the good folks here at DraftKings Sportsbook that support us. You will hear from them at the end of the show. As always, Jägermeister as well as Birdsall Law Firm. Also, further appreciation to those that's been pulling up for the halftime shows. I really appreciate everybody that's been in the comments, letting their voice be heard, giving really good observation of the game, pretty, solid commentary. And whether it's just me or I have a guest up there, y'all been really, for 10 to 15 minutes coming in there supporting and just having a good talk. And it's it's a cool outlet, man. We talk about the game a little bit, whether it's good or bad. And then, you go back to watching the game. So, if you guys if you haven't been pulling up for the halftime shows, I understand for home games. If you go to the game, I doubt you're going to go into the arena, be in your seat and pull up. But especially road games, these games in Vegas, pull up halftime, man, and chop it up with us and everybody that's, that's showing support. We got to talk Herb Jones. I got a bunch of film here. I got some stats. I got some numbers. And y'all saw the performance that Herb had yesterday against the Kings. You saw the 23-5-5. But I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm a person that, I like to admit when I'm wrong. I like to be wrong. There's sometimes a lot of ways how you learn, right? I like to be wrong. And I thought that Herb Jones needed to take a leap offensively this year. And I got to give Hank, some love. Hank, who you are, man. Been really important to the earlier days of Spaces. Does a lot of commentary, a lot of play-by-play, a lot of media things in the city of New Orleans, high school sports. But me and Hank, and it wasn't just me and Hank, but we had a lot of conversations about Herb Jones in the offseason, and not in reference to him being off the team or anything like that, but should he be starting? Should be coming off the bench? And basically, like we always do, it was Trey Murphy against Herb Jones. Of course, I was on the side of Trey Murphy, saying if this, even if it doesn't happen out the gate, Trey should be starting. While not discounting what Herb Jones can do, but the other side of that was saying that, well, Herb has to improve offensively. Well, he's done that. He's doing that, and players go through slumps, so he could have a bad December and maybe change it, but there's something that's different in regards to his approach, the way that the players on the team is looking for him, and the way that he's executing these things. And some improvements, a month and some change in that I don't think are things that are just going to go away. He's not overplaying his hand. And is he going to score 23 points every night? No. But the fact that he was able to in the way that he did and the respect that came with it from the other side, on top of what he was doing defensively, we might be having a conversation. I used to hate when people would bring up Kawhi Leonard comparisons. But with the amount of offensive talent that the Pelicans have and the fact that on most nights, Herb should be low on the totem pole in regards to being an offensive option. The way he's picking his spots while defending, while also being more and more efficient and being the guy to end games at the free throw line. I'm not saying it's Kawhi, but watching the earlier days of Kawhi in San Antonio and how that team was set up to where a young Kawhi was the bottom of the point of emphasis offensively, but you could still see that there was a star there. I don't think Herb has a Kawhi Leonard type leap, a jump to where he's going to be an eventual number one option on a team. I'm not saying that, but he has the opportunity to grow into something way more, I think, than, at least for myself, really imagined. And he's doing it very quickly. So let's get into some of the film and some of the numbers here, man. Like, one of the things here, like, you're not surprised by this. You're not surprised by the, players with more than 10 games with at least a steal and a block this year. It's him, Wembanyama, Holmgren, and Giannis. Now, Herb is the only wing out of that group, so that's definitely surprising. But if you watch these Pelicans games, you understand why. And when we get into his numbers and we start talking about a dude that's taking a leap, you'll see even defensively, you can make an argument that he's gotten better. And I think yesterday's game was a really good, example of that. One of the things I worried about was Dyson Daniels did such a good job on De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. Like, he does a good job on guards in general. That I wondered, with CJ being back and Herb, in Dyson's role easily being diminished, and Herb going from more of an off-ball role against De'Aaron to basically being his assignment, would that cause any issues? Would that cause any drop-off? Would that get him into foul trouble? And Herb did a masterful job of not letting that be the case. And here's one example, man, of, while it's not, he makes this stuff look so regular, but it's not. Look how many players he, on his own, just guards, no communication. He's by himself is making this whole play happen. And then it eventually ends up taking the ball away, which has been a big part of his season as well to start defense.
It's got a real shot this year. Both of these teams look like playoff teams. Long dribbles it, blocked by.
It's crazy, man. Starts off with De'Aaron, switches on to Sabonis after he makes De'Aaron have to make the pass. Sabonis ends up giving the ball out to Monk. Herb could have went back to the corner to go guard De'Aaron, and CJ, who was at the wing, could have rotated over to Monk. No, Herb shoots right over to Malik. Malik pump fakes. Herb, which we've seen him do before, blocks Malik's jump shot standing behind him. And I know some people want to call it a foul, but his arm is a part of the ball, and he got the ball there first. That wasn't a foul. It may have looked like it, and maybe last year or a year before they would have called that. But you can also see Herb's reputation defensively kind of growing, and referees letting him play a little bit more physical in certain stretches, or at least they did yesterday. I'm curious to see how that grows for someone who every now and then gets in foul trouble. But only a play that a dude like Herb can make, but he makes them so often. Shout out to Five, who I believe uploaded that first. I could be wrong, but it's just a beautiful play and a testament to how great he's being. Now, what does it mean necessarily to be a star? Well, he's definitely a star in his role, like AD was saying. But when you're an elite defensive player and you become anywhere close to a knockdown shooter, which his shot has improved, and I'll put up those numbers here. If we're talking strictly efficiency, I mean, everything across the board efficiency-wise to start the season. This is the kind of start that he's on. This is a leap kind of run that makes you wonder. You change your thoughts and your perception on what Herb could be at his best, which means he's getting better. Which at 25, a dude that came into the league, fairly old and advanced, you wondered, first year, second year was pretty much the same. He was pretty much the same guy statistically across the board. I talked about this last year. Well, shooting close to 36% from three, which I think for him is a sweet spot. 35, 36 is cool for Herb Jones. You don't need him taking 7 threes a game. That's where I would say I would be comfortable with him. I think that's a fair progression, a fair ask from him, because you have to respect it. He's shooting 51% overall from the field. Obviously on a higher than what he's done in his previous years. He's playing more minutes. He's shooting higher on twos, everything, bro. Free throw, and the free throw percentage, 88%, close to 90. That's special because you're seeing him create off the dribble a lot more, getting to the line. And I think Herb's one of the better guys on this team in regards to creating contact. In being able to shoot 88% also puts him in a spot to where, they're giving him the ball at the end of games, which isn't foreign to him, that's not foreign to him either when it comes to, like, we saw in his rookie year, saw in his sophomore year, he failed. I think he failed maybe once, or he had some free throws he could have made in previous years, but he's making it work. He's taking care of business this year. And just think about that. Your best defensive player is turning into a solid shooter, but he's your best free throw shooter. He's your free throw shooter in the clutch. Most defensive stars, most defensive studs aren't like that. Most defensive first guys, most 5 or 4 or 6 options offensively on a team aren't that kind of weapon, or that give you that kind of arsenal or option to go to. That makes him a little bit, that makes him special. Now, we got to talk about his numbers overall, which was the first thing that I pulled up here. Look at this. We talk about improvements. The rebound is pretty much the same here. But he's grabbing, so far close to 3 defensive rebounds a game. So we'll see how that continues to evolve over time, especially when the Pelicans start running more small lineups, which I think will happen. We got a glimpse of it, but it will happen specifically as Zion gets in better shape. If they stay healthy, you're going to see a lot of that Trey, Herb, Zion, Brandon, CJ lineup. You can bet on it. Assists, almost 3 a game, but his steals are there, and he's averaging about a block a game. It goes back to the earlier stat. And the points per game, over 12. Right? I think that's fair when you consider, as I've been saying, like, his role on the offense as a glue guy, as somebody who doesn't have things ran for him, but his timing and his intelligence of knowing when, why, and where to attack, it's gotten so much better, and the execution is there. And that's why, when I talk about apologies, man, when Five and Lito talk so often about him being, the leader on the team, I think I agree with the fact that all leaders don't have to talk. But I do think you got to have there has to be some kind of verbal communication level there. Some of it doesn't mean you have to be super vocal all the time. You don't have to lead pregame huddles or anything like that. But there has to be some kind of verbal communication there, because leaders attract people. You have people that eventually come to you with concerns and suggestions and problems and so on and so forth. They're going to ask your thoughts and your opinion on things. And Herb is doing it. He's playing in a way to where they're following him in a bunch of different ways. Let's talk about one of those things in leadership in which I've never seen Herb do. Look at this. Watch him after this free throw is made. Watch him and Jonas's reaction or interaction. And then watch what happens afterwards. Rail, shout out to you for posting this video. I totally missed this last night.
Draw the headlines, but the CJ McCollum factor too. That is a major piece that the Pelicans were able to add a couple of years ago, and now you're starting to see all of it show up. Pelicans with a record of 11-10.
So y'all saw him dunk the basketball on the whole entire Sacramento team and everything, and go full court, which was incredible. And I think that was also still an important part of that game, specifically when you watch the way the Sacramento's closed certain games and certain deficits and periods. They just that Golden State game, they went from being down like 6 or 7 to ended up winning the game. Like, you never know, especially in that building. Herb was a big part of that game being put away, but that was one play. But he's telling Jonas, I got it. I couldn't tell, but he was loud. Like, he was pissed off about it. Like, I got this. Like, let me inbound the basketball. Inbound to the BI. BI gets it back to him. He does not pass the ball back to anyone else, does not pick up his dribble, and goes coast to coast. How many guys that are going to be that are the level of the defender and the dude that's had to improve offensively like he has, dude, the 2nd round pick. I mean, listen to Chuck talk about him.
Alabama, and I was like, and he's made perfect for today's NBA game. 6'7", 6'8", yeah.
So what Chuck said in that video, Charles Barkley, their TNT post game, that he didn't see that at Alabama, but obviously no one did. No one did. And we talked about what he was, but I mean, like everything, the point guard skills, the dribbling ability. But I'm telling you, it's the mindset and the smarts, the things that he does instinctively, even without it being called. It's like we call him Lito says he's like Ed Reed defensively, but he has plays where he's Troy Polamalu, where he just does things that aren't written down that you couldn't just simply only Herb Jones could do, and it ends up, even if he may not consistently get all the credit for it, but it's an underrated part in the play succeeding. Look at this. You could argue that put the game away. Herb noticing off, he could have stayed at the wing. He could have stayed at the wing. Trey could have stayed at the corner. Could have stood around and watched Brandon walk into a baseline double. The whole floor is shifting. Like the whole Kings are crowding him and trying to get a turnover or one way or another. Herb decides to cut dash straight to the free throw line and make himself available. Now, he's not going to shoot the ball there. There's not going to be a floater attempt. He's not going to shoot a mid-range. He's not going to do any of that. But him making himself available there and running to that spot of the floor, he knows exactly where he's going with the basketball. He knows what Trey is, finds Trey Murphy immediately, and makes the Pelicans get a big three-pointer late in that game to trying to create some more separation between them and the Kings. But that's partially because of Herb Jones. Like, there's other elements of leadership and things that we've seen from him. I mean, almost plays, they're not identical, but they're things that he's the only guy on the floor that's going to do this. He's already tasked with getting a stop, but he shoots and takes the right angle to the basketball like a football player, takes the right angle to the ball, and he could have grabbed the basketball, but no, he sees Najee in front of him. And if it might have been Yurtseven, if he doesn't end up getting in the way and get his hand on the basketball, that could have turned into an easy layup or an easy opportunity for Najee at the rim. And you could be looking and talking about a tied game there. Pelicans ultimately lost that game, but that's a winning basketball play. That's a championship level basketball play. Here's another one.
The walk. Good play. Herb's unreal.
Listen.
Forces the steal, gets the basketball. Now, every time he does that, I'm worried about him separating his shoulder, but that's Herb Jones. You gotta allow him to do what makes him great. Back to the leadership conversation that I was having with Five and Lito, where I was kind of a little bit at ease at the thought of that. But these are things that leaders do. You have 24 here. Watch
He's
this.
been a really good defender.
Yeah. And good job.
You're playing the Philadelphia 76ers without Joel Embiid. You're up 24 points. A lot of dudes would have just let that be a layup and dunk and got ready for the next offensive possession. No, Herb ends up going out there and get the layup, and I believe that they ended up scoring on that next play. That's just, you can't teach those things. So we know defensively what he is as a star. We know that 100%. But there are things he does off ball, and now there are things he's doing on ball it's changing the discussion, because now you can end up putting 23 points in a big game like that and be one of the most important players on the floor, if not the most important. The glue that kind of holds all this thing, this team together, you could probably argue. You're in a different conversation. You're past just being a really good defensive player and an average offensive guy. We're not, he's not even, you wouldn't even consider him a 3-and-D guy, but he's a really good defensive player with some advanced offensive talents. And now he's playing like it. He's doing something here. You watch this play. He might have restarted the offense last year or, year prior. He might have passed the ball over to Brandon and let Brandon make the play. No, similar to the coast to coast earlier, Herb just stays with the play.
Got it. Herb Euros. And
Set he set up his defender perfectly and got the foul, and he's 88% at the free throw line, so you don't want him at the line. It's tough, man. It's really tough watching. I think now for teams when Herb Jones is out there offensively, he's a wild card and a dude that can do things which you can't. His tendencies alone can't be what you rely on when trying to play. You already got a lot to deal with Brandon and Zion and CJ and Trey and Jonas, and you have Herb just always making the right play, talking to folks, getting things lining up, running the offense, running the break, shooting the basketball. Solid right now. It's tough. And then I got one more here where when we're talking about the mentality, what teams would do, and here's I think the biggest and most important element of Herb's improvement. His rookie year, I watched the Suns pretty much put Chris Paul on Herb. And Herb had chances with the basketball to attack, but just ran the offense. And every once in a while he would cut back door and so on and so forth. But now, the minute he sees someone on him, or the minute the team needs a bucket, he's always putting together. He's been putting timely buckets all year. The right bucket, getting a foul, cutting to the paint, getting the basketball to the right person, creating a hockey assist opportunity. I think the smartest Pelican on the team on both sides of the floor, the highest IQ. But one thing he's doing now is that he's finishing plays against guys that have no business being switched out on him or going against him versus letting someone else who has a higher offensive reputation make a decision. Watch this. Once Trey finds him, he knows immediately that he's attacking Sabonis. And then versus getting stuck under the rim, which I've seen Herb get, have happen sometimes, getting stuck under the rim, making that move, looking for contact, he goes up and he finishes the layup as Malik Monk closes out to help. And Sabonis is there. Obviously, the taller guy, a threat there to block the shot or foul him. He finishes up strong. Man, Herb, what he's developing and what he's adding night in and night out to play right now, it's very important to this Pelicans team. And regardless of how you feel about him being a leader, I don't know if you believe that he's a star, and I would love you guys to get in the comments and let us know, is he a star? Is he becoming a star? And I'm talking about overall star, not just on one side of the basketball. Is he taking a leap right now? But regardless of what you think, if you think he's a star or if you think he's a leader of the team or how good of a player you think he is, you can't deny that he's come out this season a much better basketball player, and he's showing it right away. And if he continues at this trajectory, not only did the Pelicans get a steal of a contract, Ross, salute to you. Justin, salute to you for conversations that we had. But not only do the Pelicans gotten a steal, they got a steal of a contract of a dude that pound for pound is going to, he's putting himself in conversations as one of the best overall basketball players in the league. That kind of guy, if he continues this level of smarts offensively, this level of clutch activity, what he's going to do defensively. He can knock down threes, and he can make timely baskets, and he can create from himself and others. What can't he do on the floor? And it's not a superstar. We're not comparing him to Zion. We're not comparing him to Brandon Ingram. We are talking about one of the better players overall in basketball. If he continues this kind of activity and this kind of execution night in and night out, the players see it, the players trust him, and they're looking to him. That says a lot when you talk about some of the guys that are on this team, CJ McCollum as well, and the budding star that we just talked about with Trey Murphy. Herb might have something to say. Let's hear our final words here from DraftKings. Yo, man, appreciate y'all as always. Love when y'all get in the comments and, give critique or have conversations or thoughts or observations about the show one way or another. Until next time, I will hear from y'all. The Pelicans play Thursday. We will definitely wrap up there. Pull up again for halftime. let's continue having a good time. Hopefully the Pelicans, whether it's the Lakers or Suns, take care of business. And we talking about a championship game. It's season. DraftKings.
In the NBA, the game can change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, you know DraftKings Sportsbook has your back. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5 on basketball. Win or lose, you get an instant dub. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code BOOT. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code BOOT. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expired 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms.